May Rabano is a certified personal trainer and online coach specializing in core dysfunctions such as diastasis recti, incontinence, and low back pain. May helps women who have had two or more babies and are struggling with diastasis, a condition that makes them still look pregnant, pee a little when they cough, laugh, or sneeze, hide under baggy clothes, and takes a toll on their self-esteem. She takes a holistic approach that meets women at their fitness level and gets them to reach their full potential in fitness, health, and life. For over 10 years, May personally suffered from diastasis, incontinence, and low back pain. After being told that her only option to fix her belly was surgery, she became relentless and figured out how to heal herself. Once she cracked the healing code, it took her only 5 weeks to resolve the incontinence she had dealt with for 10 years. After her own successful body transformation, May became a certified personal trainer and founder of Strong Bikini Mom. She has mentored with top fitness and extended healthcare professionals to master her skills so her clients can get the best results. Helping individuals overcome diastasis is May's zone of genius, and she has personally helped hundreds of women struggling with diastasis recti all over the world. Hey May, thanks for being here for this educational course series.
Oh, thanks for inviting me, Ashley.
Of course. Well, I had to have you come on since everyone knows you as the Strong Bikini Mom, and your main focus is on diastasis recti. So for those of you that don't know what that is, it's a separation of the abdominal muscles. So those are the rectus abdominis. Oftentimes, it is when women are pregnant and their muscles start to separate. So I thought that May, you could lead us and talk a little bit about, why you became a core specialist and why you chose to focus on diastasis as your, mainly what it is that you have taken hold of with the core.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So I decided to go down this path because personally, this is diastasis recti was something that I struggled with for 10 years. I've had 3 kids and they're 3.5 years apart. I didn't even know I had diastasis recti, but when I discovered it, I figured it out on my own, and I long story short, I was able to fit my entire fist between my 2 rectus abdominis muscles. And that's when I was like, oh my God. So I love that prior to having each of my kids, there was so much information about how to have a strong pregnancy and all the things you need to do to prepare to have a healthy, chubby little baby. But there was literally, well, at least at the time that I was having babies, there was literally no information on how to put yourself back together afterwards. So that's how I came about becoming a core specialist, because as I went through my own personal health and fitness journey, I actually fixed my own diastasis recti, which was, to me, was like, my oh my God moment. This is doable. Because when I first brought this to the attention of my doctor, all I was told was that the only hope in hell I was going to get this fixed was through surgery. And at the time I was like, I have 3 kids. You want me to take downtime to fix this? There's no way. It's just muscle. How is this not able to come back together? So that's when I was done with my doctor, and then I was just on a mission to figure it out on my own.
And you know what, I've heard that from a lot of people too, is that, and nothing against doctors, but just different health professionals have, indicated that, once that separation has occurred and it's been, there's been a period of time that there's not really a way to bring it back together. And that was not the case for you, because you started your journey how many years after your children?
So let's see, my youngest So I've got 3 girls. They're 3.5 years apart, as I said. But my youngest at the time that I started to try to figure this out was about 3 or 4 years old. So, but my eldest was about 10.
Okay, and had you had the diastasis for, like, did it just continue to get larger with each child, or did you have it from the time, from 10 years on, oh, there was always the diastasis there?
I knew something was off because even after trying to get back into shape after my eldest was born, I couldn't get my core back together.
Okay.
And maybe I didn't even know that I had to get my core back together back then, but I couldn't gain the strength in my entire torso, not let alone my belly. So I was getting skinny arms and skinny legs, and I was like, what about my stomach?
And yeah, a lot of like inflammation and heaviness through the waist, right?
Inflammation, just a lot of mush. On top of it, with each pregnancy, I started to feel discomfort and pain, and didn't realize until later on when I became a coach that it was all due to muscle imbalances that I had experienced with each pregnancy. So, I mean, if I were to go back in time now, knowing what I know now, I would have gone to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist. I would have worked with someone like myself to take the guesswork away, because I was literally at my wit's end trying to figure this out and doing, like it, I went nuts.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, no, so I know what to do now.
So, I mean, you know, I think you're a great story of hope for a lot of women that feel like, you know, well, it's been too long. I've, you know, my tummy's been like this for 10, 12 years postpartum. But you are basically here to say that it doesn't really matter how much time that's passed. You can still bring those muscles back together. You can still make a difference, right? When you're doing the right things and not doing the wrong things.
Exactly. Actually, I wanted to brag that we helped a mom who was 32 years postpartum.
Wow.
So her youngest child was 32 years old. She was, at the time, we were actually running a camp, like a boot camp for diastasis recti. And she joined the camp thinking it was just for, to get abs, right? And by the end of the camp, she was sneezing because it was coming into flu season. And she came running into class after, she's like, oh my God, I'm not pissing anymore.
Yeah.
I've been sneezing all weekend and it just dawned on me, I'm not leaking.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when I knew this was just beyond me and my little pursuit of abs and my little journey. I knew that I had something to share with the rest of the world. And for me, it's to really just simplify the process for these moms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I'm going to ask you the question that you and I both know the answer to, but how often do you use crunches with your clients, May?
Never.
Never stop doing crunches, right?
It actually makes diastasis recti worse. It makes your condition worse.
Yeah. Do you want to just explain a little bit about how that works?
Okay. Well, I made the big mistake of doing crunches. That was the first thing I did after having my youngest. I joined a boot camp with a bunch of 20-year-olds. It was like just before CrossFit. So it was high intensity training. We had like 800 rep ab day. So I'm on the ground doing crunches, doing V-ups, doing everything.
Yeah, lots of jumping exercises, right?
Lots of that. And my boot camp coach at the time would think I'd be making up excuses because I'd be like, wait a second, I gotta go run to the bathroom. And the coach would be like, whatever, May, you're making up excuses, get to it. But I really had to go. right?
Yeah.
So then after that, that's when I realized, I was like, oh my God, like I just basically, I did everything wrong, everything wrong. So do you want me to get into why crunches
You know what?
make
Yeah, if you just want to explain a little bit like why, crunches for both diastasis and pelvic floor health like worsen, a condition for women that are postpartum or even planning to have children, or people
yeah.
with weight issues, because diastasis obviously, and when there's been an abdominal weight gain, there's often diastasis that accompanies that too, right?
In the case of a postpartum mom, it's not the most effective way to strengthen your core, because when it comes to diastasis recti, your focus should be to establish that mind to muscle connection with your core again, because for 9 months that's not there. So it's like, right, it's like, okay, core, engage, and your core is like, huh? Right? Like, you're like, okay, engage, and you're like, your core is just not responding. So yeah, I have firsthand experience of that, because when I was training, my coach was like, you need to engage your core. I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
And it was like, pull your belly button into your spine. I'm like, I just feel my belly button coming into my spine. I don't feel anything else, right?
Yeah.
So really what it means to engage your core is to learn how to engage your deep core muscles. And the reason why the crunches aren't the most effective is because it teaches you how to only engage your most outer, your rectus abdominis muscles, so the most outer layer. When you learn how to engage your deep core muscles, and the webinar or the online course I'll talk about at the end goes in depth into that. But when you learn how to engage your deep core muscles, you're really learning how to activate your own built-in core set. So you know how a lot of women are going to get a core set and they're using like core set training to get their abs back into shape. We have our own.
Yeah.
It's built in, and it's a matter of coordinating 4 muscles, which includes your pelvic floor. So it's your diaphragm, your multifidus is part of that, which supports the vertebrae on your spine, the pelvic floor muscles, and what's also called the TVA muscle. A lot of women are not quite sure, and they're just in a hurry to start exercising. And then to their surprise, when they start with either a pelvic floor physiotherapist or they start a fitness program, especially for diastasis recti, they're often wondering why they're breathing and when the good stuff's coming. So let me just clarify. This is the Linnea album. If you recall from the video, this tissue connects the inner and outer core together. Like, so when you're pregnant, this is made out of connective tissue, and it's naturally supposed to stretch. You cannot prevent it from stretching during pregnancy. It was made that way. So when you have one baby, it'll stretch out, then it'll come back together. But typically, unfortunately, if you've had multiple babies, it'll stretch out and maybe come back this far. Third baby, stretch out, maybe come back this far, etc., etc., etc. I mean, that's a little bit extreme, but take it from me, I've had 3 kids and mine was like 6 fingers wide. But anyhow, I'm skewing there. So the reason why the breathing exercises are so important, when we were looking at the core, it wasn't just about the 6-pack muscles. The corset muscles wraps around from the front all the way to the back. So the multifidus muscles, if you recall, intertwine into like the vertebrae of your back. So that's your corset. So there's no point in looking for other devices to try to nip your waist in. Ladies, you have a built-in core set that you can tap into. That is how you're going to shrink your waistline, is by starting with diaphragmatic breathing exercises, which is like the foundation exercise that I build my entire program around. And you'll see how easy it looks, but it's really one of the hardest things that someone needs to grasp before they can move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we do is, you know, you and I, we both have the same type of certification. You just do more of the diastasis focus and working with moms. And, you know, I sort of go a different route, but we teach people to start with their breathing.
Exactly.
And I'm sure that you get the same thing. Why am I learning how to breathe, you know, in our first session together or like fifth session together?
Exactly. Do you ever find that when you're first teaching moms how to, or individuals how to breathe, that when it comes to weight training, they breathe backwards?
Oh, absolutely. Especially with pelvic floor engagement, they want to do it in reverse all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
They think, oh, I thought that I should have been like, you know, doing the pelvic floor maneuver, but breathing this way. And it's like, no, 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 we got to back that up.
Yeah, so that's where that's why a lot of my clients start to get this little bit of a brain fart, because they're trying to coordinate their muscles with the cues I'm giving them, and it takes them a while to pick it up. But once they master it, it's night and day, and they actually feel all their inner core set engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing how when I think I was talking about this in one of the other interviews as well, how just a slight pelvic floor contraction, like picking up your blueberry, can, when you're then lifting something, can make your entire back feel so much more supported with the proper breath and the proper pelvic floor contraction, that you can, you know, just you feel that support throughout your whole entire torso when you're doing this exercise. May, why don't you talk about, do you want to give maybe a couple of your top few tips in order to fix diastasis, or something that you feel is most beneficial when it comes to diastasis and the deep core system?
Yeah, absolutely. The number one tip is to get assessed, because that is the first step of the first step is to recognize you have the problem, so that you know what to do to move forward. There are many self-assessment videos available online. However, I strongly recommend going in to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist, especially after having multiple pregnancies, just for peace of mind, because they do have the capability to do an internal exam to just make sure you're healing properly, and just do a thorough assessment. Because as a personal trainer and online coach who specializes in diastasis recti, I am only able to take care of external muscles. So that's why I really find it helpful if you go to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist, because once she clears you, then we can go to town and just continue to get your core stronger. It is also important, once you've learned how to connect to your core muscles, and whether or not you receive the protocol of necessary exercises to start beginning correcting your diastasis recti from a pelvic floor physiotherapist or a core specialist, consistency is the key, because it's you're trying to reestablish a mind to muscle connection, and with the only way to do that is constant repetition, so that as you make progress, you'll slowly find that your core is just engaging, as when you're walking or sitting or standing or getting in and out of the car, or just picking things up from the floor. Like, it'll just start to happen naturally, and really that's the goal. Of the goal is to restore your core function, so that you're not just having this mush on your belly. You want to be able to feel supported.
Yeah. Do you want to walk everyone through just maybe a breathing exercise and a simple pelvic floor activation so that they can have a little takeaway from
Oh,
today?
okay, sure. Yeah, sure. So if you're, obviously you're probably watching this, so if you might already be in a seated position. So really easy, if you're in a seated position, what you just want to do is, I should explain about the tripod. When I coach my clients, I teach them about their tripod. So that involves identifying what the 3 points are underneath. So I tell them that the sit bones are 2 of the legs of the tripod, and the third leg of the tripod is your perineum. So if you don't know where your perineum is, that is the area between your vagina and your anus. So it's smack in the middle. You want to make sure that you're engaging that area, because if you're just concentrating on your vagina, or you're, engaging the pelvic floor from your anus, it's better to concentrate on the middle. That way you're pulling up the entire muscle from the center up. And the way that's done is I usually determine cues with my clients. The most basic one I start with is probably the elevator. What I do is I tell them to pretend there's a string tied to their perineum, and that string goes right up the center of their body to the top of their head. And if you can visualize that, I'll give you a second to try this, but just visualize pulling up the string or the elevator through the center of your body. Can you feel that? It's just a very small movement, but basically that movement is then coordinated with the breath to help engage all 4 deep core muscles.
Yeah, so when you're doing your when the elevator is going up, that's when you want to be, so I always use a blueberry. That's when you want to be doing your exhale.
Exactly.
So you
So
want
if
to be inhaling to release the elevator to the floor.
Yeah.
And then upon that exhale, which you should still be, well, you can do either through the nose or through the mouth, depends on how you teach it. Then you want to be on the exhale, lifting the elevator up, which is usually the confusing part for a lot of people, because they think inhale up, exhale out, but it's reverse when you're doing pelvic floor work.
Exactly. So usually what I do is I just get them to take 3 deep breaths in and out without engaging the pelvic floor. So you're just inhaling through your nose, exhale through your mouth, inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. And then by the 3rd round, I will cue them to lift the elevator. So inhale through your nose, lift the elevator, exhale through your lips. And just through that motion, you should feel your torso engage from your spine right around, and your pelvic floor comes up at the same time. It's also important to learn how to release your pelvic floor muscles, so when you go to inhale again, you're letting the elevator drop back down to starting position. Yeah, that's what I love about the core breath exercise, because it really gives women the ability to control the movement both up and down, up and down. And we both know that's helpful in other tasks.
Yeah, that tension that you're creating on the way up is equally as important as that release on the way down, because you don't want to be hypertensive just as you don't want to be hypo, right? Either not
Exactly.
creating tension or creating too much.
Exactly.
Taking a little turn from looking at the internal environment and looking a little bit more aesthetically to what's going on with the outside of the belly, what are your thoughts on stretch marks or stretch skin? and loose skin that can be either postpartum or even from weight gain and weight loss.
Okay, so with the separation, the goal is to actually strengthen the linea alba, which is the tissue that connects the two rectus abdominal muscles together. So as you gain core strength by strengthening the linea alba, that'll start to bring the gap closer together. As your linea alba gets stronger, from personal experience, my outie belly button came back in, and the definition down the middle of your abs starts to come in. The obliques come in first, and then the middle one comes in a little bit later. But abs are literally made in the kitchen. If your diet is not on par, that's the huge indicator. If you're eating right and you're doing the right exercises, you're going to get crazy results. In terms of skin and tightening it up as much as possible, that is dependent on, okay, so tightening up is dependent on your body fat percentage, right? So I got to be careful there, because you don't want to get your body fat percentage down too low, because like in the bodybuilding world, if you get it down too low, first of all, it's not sustainable, and it's not very healthy to maintain long term. That's really for competition. In terms of stretch marks and the loose skin, so that's a combination of genetics, but I've also now, I'm also getting into more systemic concerns with my client, because this is something that's recent that I've been diving into, because if you think about it, your body's ability to absorb nutrients lies in the digestive system, right? If your digestive system is not working optimally, it will cause a number of factors: bloating, other digestive issues, and all of that adds to the girth of your waist. So if you're not looking at your internal health, as well as your nutrition and exercise, all of that goes together, right? So in terms of skin, if your body is functioning optimally internally, you will be able to absorb the nutrients your skin requires to heal. That's probably the biggest struggle of most of my clients, is to reestablish those basic lifestyle habits that they probably had before kids, and just trying to get all that implemented again, because it's one thing to do it when you don't have kids, but to do it with a screaming baby and 2 other older children and a dog, good luck. It's like good luck. It's like, can I get more than 24 hours in a day, maybe? Right?
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much, May. I think there's some great points there when it comes to tips on breathing, tips on assessment. That's a huge one. We don't want to take a cookie cutter approach or just read something off the internet. It's really important to find out what it is that your body needs.
Exactly.
So if people want to learn more about what you do, where can they find you? I'm also going to include this in the show notes as well.
Oh, excellent. So all of my social media on Facebook and Instagram is under Strong Bikini Mom, all three separate words. But where I have a private Facebook group page, it's called the Diastasis Recti Natural Healing Support Group. That's probably the place to be. I only, what I offer is an online course to my members so that they can get firsthand knowledge about what diastasis recti is, some of the other conditions that you might experience post-pregnancy, how to get started, what types of exercises are most effective to gaining core strength. And I dive deep into the core breath and the reason why that's like the most important exercise to learn when it comes to recovering from pregnancies. I actually collaborated with a pelvic floor physiotherapist to put that online course together. So the beauty of it is that you're getting the perspective from both the physio world and the fitness world. So you're getting it. You're getting a full view of what it's like to not just do rehabilitative exercises for your core, but then how to strengthen your core beyond, so that you can just go back to living and going back to doing exercises and activities that you love.
Wonderful. So you're going to be giving that course for free to anyone that I think opts in for that link, right? Or,
Yes. Yeah. So it's available to all the members in my private Facebook group. It's just something special that I created for them. And there's even like downloads that you can take to your first pelvic floor physio appointment. It's full of everything you need to know. And the beauty is it's science and evidence based. So I didn't just make up all of this stuff and put it together in a program. It's proven.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, May, for being here.
You're welcome.
We love talking with a fellow core specialist and, being able to throw some ideas around.
Thank you so much, Ashley. It was so nice talking to you.
It was nice talking to you too. All right. Thanks, May. Have a great night.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.